New season of the Super Boomer Lifestyle Show, brought to you by the superboomerlifestyle.com, your one-stop shop for brands we know you will love. Today, we welcome the authors of The Journey Within, Wanda, Webster, and Christopher Mack to the show. Today's topic, how changing your limiting beliefs can transform your life. We have a great show for you today. If you're here live, we're delighted you're here live. Make sure you put a comment right into the comments, and I will make sure to come back and comment right back on you. If you're here on replay, we love you still. You want to make sure that you put in the comments, replay, so that I know you are on replay, and I will respond to you. And finally, if you would do me a great favor and share, I would love you forever. Share it out to your network, and we will have them join the fun as well. So we're going to jump into the show. I want to introduce our guests first, and then I'll bring them into the show. Our guest today, as I said, is Wanda Webster and Christopher Mack. Wanda is a writer and educator. She has spent the last 15 years working, empowering children and adults to make better choices in life. And at one time, her curriculum was being taught in 8 different countries. Wow. In the Hollywood film industry for 15 years, she finds that using story and film metaphor is an excellent way to guide people through their own journey of transformation, much like a hero in a film goes through. And Christopher Mack is a lead outreach worker on Skid Row, as well as a public speaker and singer, and he feels that the downtown Los Angeles community is the greatest recovery community in the world. He's been interviewed many times, NPR, LA Times, USA Today, Dateline. We can go on, but he's been interviewed about the homeless condition and also about the Urban Voices Project, a community choir he co-founded 5 years ago to help uplift and support people through difficult times. I am excited to welcome them to the show, and without further delay, welcome to the show. Hey, guys. Welcome.
Thank you, Caren.
Thank you, Caren. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Oh my gosh. So we just need to let the audience know you guys are real troopers, because we just got here for a half an hour trying to get you in the show, and you're finally in. And I am thrilled and delighted that you're in the show. And so we're going to jump into the topic right now. Before we do that, though, is I always like to ask people, how do you describe a super boomer? Now, I describe a super boomer not how they more how they're not rather than how they are. A super boomer to me is somebody who shows up in life in a particular way. They're fearless. They are going to jump into almost anything, maybe anything. That would be me. I jump into everything. So that's my definition of a super boomer. So guys, how would you describe a super boomer?
Wanda Webster.
I think a super boomer is a boomer that is living their authentic life, no matter their age, and is living authentically, is not afraid to chase and catch their dreams, possibly that they, weren't able to live earlier in their life.
I love that answer. I love that answer. Christopher, anything to add about being a super boomer?
Well, they don't accept no for an answer.
Amen.
They do it as long as it's practical and it satisfies the goal in which they set their minds to. They pretty much can accomplish anything, but they sort of live life happily. Happily after, happily before, just happy. And
I love that. I love that as an answer. And I love the fact that, first of all, you guys are on here together. You guys are the author of this really great book called The Journey Within. We're going to talk about that during the show as well. I have my own copy. Thank you very much. And thank you for inscribing it to me. I really appreciate that. Let's just talk about this. Wanda, you talk about making better choices in life by going deep within and taking responsibility for your actions, behaviors. What does that actually mean? How do we do that? What does that entail?
Well, it entails being truthful. Mm-hmm. We all have this dark side. Dr. Carl Jung talked about that a lot. We all have a shadow side. We all have a dark side. We don't like to see it. We don't like to admit it for the most part. But it's about this. This book is about introspection, about taking a look at every aspect of yourself. Just like a diamond has all those different facets, right. So do we. And some of them aren't so pretty. And once you take a look at them and you accept them and say, yes, the truth will set you free.
That's hard though, right?
It's very hard. Yes, it's very hard.
So we acknowledge it's hard. How do you then do that? I mean, is there like a trick even just to step into it? What do you do?
Well, you have to ask the right question.
Okay.
If you're in conflict, if you're in disarray, sometimes it's like Wanda said, you have to be honest and you have to be truthful, but you have to be also fearless and willing to ask the right question. Right. You know, sometimes people don't take responsibility and say, did I really do that? You know, other than that, the first thing the first go-to is what somebody did to me. Why did they make me do that? You can only be responsible for if it happened to you, you should accept the biggest responsibility and find out what your part in it is. And so if you do that, you're more apt to get the right answer. But you have to ask yourself the question. That's introspection. You have to ask yourself the question to take you within.
Right.
I was working with this young lady, and she was trying to have this relationship, and I was telling her that she has to respect other people. And not only do you have to respect other people, but the boundaries is everyone has free will. But if I want something to go my way and it doesn't, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because of what I did, what I expected. Nobody did it to me. So it's about taking responsibility, like Wanda said. And if you take responsibility, only the truth can set you free because you're telling yourself the truth.
So I mean, that's a great answer. I mean, basically, what is my part in this, right? How did we get here? Rhonda, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's okay. I was going to say the reward, even doing one time, the reward is you will feel a sense of freedom. And so that's your buy-in to say, because it's difficult and it's painful and we agonize over it. But once you get that taste of that freedom, it sets you free from, you're not in bondage to yourself. You're becoming more whole. Yeah. That's the carrot now. Michelle says, love this. Take responsibility. Thanks, Michelle. That's a great comment. We have viewers on, so we're going to pop up some of the comments as we're doing the show. So I'm a singer. And Christopher, I was actually very enthralled by the fact that you just did the Urban Voice Project and the fact that you talk about downtown LA community as the greatest recovery community in the world. Why? And your job is fascinating. The fact that you're lead outreach on Skid Row, but why do you believe that? And how did the Urban Voice Project come to be? Because anything that has to do with music is near and dear to my heart.
First of all, let me cover the recovery is downtown being the largest recovery community. First of all, most people are under the impression that recovery is only substance driven. It's not. Substance is just it's like one of those byproducts of somebody needing to recover. Obsessive compulsive behavior is addiction. Right. And so when you say recovery is the greatest, because when you get to Skid Row, I call it the field of dreams. All these nightmares have happened to you in life. And now all of a sudden there is this opportunity for the aha moment. Well, wait a minute, maybe I can take some responsibility for my life and start to recreate a new life, because that old one is thoroughly burned out, thoroughly trashed. And so now you're starting with a clean slate. And so when you say that area is the largest recovery, because a lot of people have had hopes and dreams and lost it and everything, and they have nothing but to climb up. And so I used to call it the elephant graveyard, where I see the soul as this big, massive thing, the soul. And I seen people languishing on the street. Well, for 2 years when I first started, that made me cry because I saw these people with no place to go and hopelessness. And so then I started to see the rise of the phoenix. I started to see people get up out of abject poverty, abject hopelessness. And I started seeing people start making decisions to live a better life. And they came to me and said, Chris, I stopped using. Chris, I got an apartment. Chris, I'm going to school. They recreating themselves. That's what recovery is about, getting back that which is lost. And I think that every human being in the world has lost the best part of himself, and that's his spiritual life.
That's powerful. And so how does the music come in? So you started the Urban Voice Project. What is that? And where do we go hear them?
Well, the Urban Voices Project started 5 years ago. Coburn School of Music is like the Juilliard of the West. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy, his name was Bob Attia. Was on the board of Wesley, and he was on the board of the Coburn School. And so one August 5 years ago, they said, Chris, we want you to meet this guy because Coburn wanted to do outreach in the community in which they're in. And they're not that far from Skid Row because they're up there by Disney, mm-hmm. Where Disney Hall is,
right,
in Los Angeles.
Right.
And so they introduced this guy named Leov Sofer, who's a professor in music. And Leov and I was responsible for the outreach at Skid Row because that's what I do.
Right.
And Leov was responsible for introducing the music. But it was so that to engage the people, because music being the bridge, to engage the people so that they can start doing better healthcare. So I work in a clinic. And so we provide medical services for the underserved, regardless of the ability to pay. And Wesley was on the field long before Obamacare. That when people in Skid Row was down and they needed some medical attention, they would just go to Wesley.
That's where they went.
And so we combine music and we use the healthcare system to be able to refer people, whether they have primary care issues, whether they have dental issues, optometry issues. And on Wednesday, we have a neighborhood sing. So we invite the neighborhood to come because we know that music.
I love that. I love that. I believe that music is the universal language. It speaks to those who might otherwise not hear or understand or process what's being said. You know, I meditate, and I know that you talk about meditating for 5 minutes a day and that it can make a huge difference, and just changing 5 limiting beliefs that can transform your life. So let's talk about those limiting beliefs, because that's actually the topic of the show today. What are some of these limiting beliefs that get in the way?
Well, okay, here's an example, because I don't know what your limiting belief or what anybody's limiting belief, but one of the major limiting beliefs is I'm not good enough.
Yes, yes.
That's one of the. I think that would be universal, but it doesn't only come with a dialogue in the head, but it comes with a feeling in the emotions.
Yeah.
And so you can always tell when they don't want to look you in the eye, they have their head down, they don't want to, participate in life. Yeah. Right. And so the person has that limiting belief, but he got it from somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
And so if we just take that one limiting belief, then, if the person examined, has he ever felt that way? Is this is this the way I look at myself?
What would be another limiting belief? I know that a lot of people in this age, is superboomer age, and maybe in all ages, but we tend to have that fraud complex, that somehow we're going to be found out that we don't actually know what we know. And that gets in the way for us moving forward. Have you noticed that?
Well, yeah, but here it is. You're absolutely right, because that's another limiting belief is I know. You don't, or you don't need to tell me. I already know. You can't tell me something. Those are limiting beliefs because they don't allow you to participate wholeheartedly and honestly. Because now, any help that you may have gotten, you put it aside because now your mind's telling you already know this.
Right.
Why are you listening to him? And now you're having this internal dialogue where you don't want nobody to tell you nothing.
That's true. Wanda, what kind of limiting beliefs do you want to throw out that you have seen out there that you would call?
Well, we're talking about baby boomers. I'm too old. I'm too old to go after this now. Yes?
I get that all the time.
Right.
All the time. I get, and especially in the field that I'm in the live streaming field, people are always saying, I'm too old to do what how do you do this? And I look at them and say, I'm actually older than you. So it has nothing to do with old. It's a limiting belief. That is a powerful one.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other ones that we can throw out? Because I'm putting them up on the screen to see.
Well,
let's ask some of the people out there. What do they think a limiting belief is?
Okay, guys.
For themselves.
Good question. So, guys, if you're watching live, I want to make sure that you can participate. If you can throw out a limiting belief, put it in the comments. Even if you're here on replay, let us know that it was replay and add a limiting belief, because we want to hear from you. While we're waiting for that, let's jump into your book. I'm going to throw up, actually, I'm going to throw them up on the screen right now. And I'm going to, let's talk a little bit about this. Hold on. Here we go. I'm actually doing this, trying to get this. Okay. So one of the things that I love about this, first of all, the book is beautiful. I love the graphics. I love the art on it. And it's intense. I have to tell you, it's intense. How did this book come about? How did this book come about?
Well, Christopher's a brilliant one. He's been leading recovery groups for how many years? I don't know, 18 years or so. And I started attending groups, filling up notebooks. I found it fascinating, the information, and because this information is universal.
Yes.
It's not just for that community. It was useful for me.
Well, the way I used to have a group. See, I'm coming up on 20 years of sobriety. And what happened was I got into the AA community. And so in the anonymous community, there's certain things that, is in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And then what I started to notice is in my journey, what I started to notice is that there's a dynamics that occurs as you're recovering, and you start to find out different things. Well, there's a statement that says our ideas, our emotions, and our attitude, they dominate us. And so while I was doing groups, people would come and, abstinence is the only way you can stop doing a certain thing. Now, the habit or what generates the habit happens to be you. And so if you don't know yourself, then that habit continues to sneak up on you. Bam. And so I started to think about the group I was running was called the Dynamics of Recovery. And there is this certain dynamics that occurs when you start to recover. You start to pay attention to things. You start to notice things.
Right.
And those things start to become your everyday, you start to take advantage of experiences, because a lot of times people have experiences and they don't let the experience guide them in the next step. So they go and look for the new great thing. And that one experience that have so much information to give them, then guess what?
They
put it by the wayside because
they don't
do no introspection. In other words, when you start to see the benefits of it, you start to operate in what is being presented to you. Your experiences become your teacher. And that's wisdom.
So Michelle says another limiting belief, I don't have enough education. And as another one, I don't have the willpower.
Yeah. Yes, right, exactly. And remember, this is a belief that starts to control your life. Right. Because you continue to tell yourself that. But here's the key. You not only tell yourself that, but you start to feel the downness of it. You start feeling down because that belief comes in there and makes you feel bad. Exactly. Now that belief has total control over your life.
Exactly. So guys, we have the book up here. It's sitting in the Superboomer Lifestyle store. So if you go to the superboomerlifestyle.com, you can pick it up over there. I actually have a little bit.ly, a little link that if you want to see what this looks like, I'm going to put that in there. Hold on. Let's get rid of this. All right. So you can go to bit.ly/the journey within, and the book is there. I actually think it's on sale right now. So if you click that, I think the price is actually less than that. If you click on it, it'll take you into the store and you'll see it and you can purchase the book. And I know that if you reach out to both Wanda and Chris, they would be happy to give you some other information or connect with you about that. I'm going to drop this down. Hold on. All right. So let's keep going on this. Let's keep going on this. How do we transform life? I mean, that's the subtitle of the book, is how to create a dynamic recovery to transform your habits and become your authentic self. So let's give a tip right now. Let's give a tip. What is one way that someone can right now, after watching this show, do or think or be that will help them transform their life, other than picking up the book, which they need to do? They need to go pick up the book.
Well, the journaling section is powerful because it takes you, it's asking you
Right.
to answer some questions. You know, what is the belief? Why do you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
To go to the history, write it down, and just free form journaling, and you're going to get some answers and find, is that really true? Is it
Right.
true or is it not true? Why do I have that belief? And sometimes just the awareness will set you free.
Right. But one of the things that people can do is, you know, sometimes what you say to yourself, it can have a profound effect. And one of the things that people can really do is stop being so hard on themselves and stop being so serious. Because sometimes we are the hardest critics of our own life.
Yep.
And we take ourselves so serious, you know, that we forget to enjoy life. And so one of the things you can do, ask yourself, am I being too serious? Am I being too hard on myself? Because the question becomes the flashlight to illuminate the mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask the question. And it might not work for you today, but if you continue to ask yourself when that question comes up, take a look at the answer. Don't insert the answer, just look at the answer. Because sometimes if you ask yourself the right question, an answer is going to come that's beyond your mind. And that's where we start to transform, is because we start to go inside and we start to have this relationship, because everybody is beautiful on the inside, but we don't have that relationship. And I heard what you said about music, but I think music is another ingredient to our own living, to our own being. And we forget that. We live externally, but we don't know internally that we are composed of music. We might be the best symphony that God ever produced, or the sorts, however you want to do it. I don't want to use that.
I love what you're saying. And it's that you have to ask the questions, but then you have to listen to the answers. I mean, that is just, for me, that's my aha moment. And that's going to be my super boomer moment when I go to that later on. You do have to ask the questions. But if you ask the questions and don't listen to what comes back, there's no point, right?
Right. Right. Ask the question, sit down and shut up.
Sit down and shut up. No, I want to know why you do this. Why do you do this? How did you guys meet, and why do you do this? Wanda, I think that's your cue, Wanda.
Well, we met at the Bodhi tree, so that tells you a lot. You know, we both, that's our number one priority, is our spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do it? Because I think the worst thing possible is to live an unexamined life.
Yeah.
Because then you're not better than 10 years ago. You're not better than yesterday. You're not better than when you were a child.
Agreed.
Come over this way.
Oh, yeah. Why do you do it, Christopher?
Why do I do it?
Why do you do it?
Why do you do this? And then we have to listen to the answer.
Okay. Humanity. We have a family that we don't even know as human beings. You know, if you take off the wrapping, we're all the same underneath.
Yeah.
And there's this biology that says we're human beings. You know, we need to stop lying to ourselves. And I think that when we start to join and become a human family, I think life gets better regardless of what the outside condition is, because we have it. Yeah, we have this love for each other. We expand.
I want to thank you. I know we got off to a hectic start because of our technology, and I want to thank you for hanging in there with us so that you could actually get on the show, because this is an important topic. It's an important important subject. And I want to remind people again that they can go pick up your book in the superboomerlifestyle.com. They can pick up their copy. Hello, there we go. I'm going to drop this down. Any last minute comments before I drop you into the green room? Any last thing that you'd like to share with our audience?
The only thing I like to share with the is learn to know yourself and love yourself, regardless, because you can become your own best friend. Amen.
Wanda, any last thoughts?
No, there's a gift. There's a gift with introspection, whether you use our book or your own tools, your own questions. There's a gift in that. And that gift is that beautiful soul that you have. And to just clear away the garbage, that you don't need that. You don't need that. And let your soul and your spirit shine brightly, in this world. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Guys, if you'd like to get in touch with both Wanda and Christopher, I encourage you to go check out their YouTube channel. Just search for The Journey Within and you'll find it. And you can also go to their website, dynamicsofrecovery.com. That should be an O there, an M there. I don't know where the M went, but it should be dynamicsofrecovery.com. And you can get more information about them and about the book. Go pick up the book. I'm going to drop you guys into the green room while I do my super boomer moment, which you already know what it's because I already gave it away. So I'm going to drop you down. Guys, I want to thank you for your time, your energy. I know that you're doing great work out there, and just keep on keeping on.
Likewise.
Thanks,
keep
guys.
doing it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So this is my super boomer moment. It's interesting. It's interesting because I always grab the content that comes in and grab the information that comes in. But when you guys made a mention about asking the questions, but then you have to listen to the answers, it seems so simple. I mean, that's like the obvious, right? Why are you asking questions if you're not going to pay attention to the answers that come back? And so for me, I think that is such an important aspect to what you guys are doing, especially with the book. You're asking questions in here. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of work that's going to go into this. And if you don't listen to what the response and the answers are, it's almost like, why are you doing it? Why are you actually doing it? So that is my super boomer moment of the show. I would love for you to continue to follow us on Instagram. You can find me on @Caren Glasser. On Twitter, you can find me @Caren Glasser. Imagine that, how original. And you can also go to the superboomerlifestyle.com, and that will take you to the store as well. Guys, I know that you have a choice as to where you spend your time and how you spend your time. I am eternally grateful to my viewers that show up every single week and all week long to watch the shows, because I know that you have a choice. And I want to thank you for choosing to share it with me and my guest today. Go out and give somebody an awesome day, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of the Super Boomer Lifestyle Show. Goodbye, everyone.